Hello everyone. With this session, I'm starting a new series on the Jenkins tools concept. Okay, so the Jenkins concept is very important if you are a software developer or if you are a automation engineer or if you are a manual tester. This Jenkins is used on the daily basis in your software development process. So this is the session number one, and where we will cover some basic fundamentals about the Jenkins. So as always, I will start this series with the what and why part. Okay, what is Jenkins and why we use it. Okay, so once you understand these two things, then we will see in coming sessions how to install Jenkins and how to use it. So first point is, what is Jenkins? So Jenkins is an open source automation server which help you to automate the software development processes, including building up your software, testing it, or deploying your build to your production server or different servers for the testing. So it allows continuous integration and continuous delivery of your software. Okay, so Jenkins is something which can get your task done according to your order. Okay, so we can perform different tasks by creating the different Jenkins jobs. You can create one or more Jenkins jobs and it will perform the tasks whatever you have configured for that Jenkins job. Okay, so you can run your Maven project, or you can run any freestyle Java project, or you can create a build of your application, right? You can deploy a specific build with some version number on a particular server, right? You can, so that you can start your testing. So this job you can do at the specific date or specific time as well. So all these things you can perform, or you can do by just creating the Jenkins job, by configuring that Jenkins job as per your requirement, and it will start as per your date and time using the Jenkins scheduler. So Jenkins plays a very important role in the CI/CD process. Okay, continuous integration or continuous delivery of your software. Okay, so have you ever seen the Jenkins logo? Okay, so this is the Jenkins logo. So why it is like that? So this logo you can see it is like an waiter in the hotel. So when you go into a restaurant in a hotel for lunch or dinner, there is always a person who is keep listening to your order. Okay, that is the waiter, right? So it is the customer who will provide the food order, whatever they want to eat, and then that waiter will take a note of that order and convey that order to the chefs or cook of the restaurant. So now again, when the order is ready to be served, this waiter used to get it from the chefs and goes to the customer table and serve them. Okay, so his primary job is to listen to the food orders from the customer and fulfill them. So Jenkins is also like this waiter. Its primary responsibility or primary job is to keep listening to the order and complete it. Okay, so we can get our task done according to our order from the Jenkins. Okay, so there are around 1700 plus plugins available that you can integrate with the Jenkins, and you can perform different tasks. Okay, so for this completing the task or for performing task, you just need to create the Jenkins job. You need to properly configure them, and you can start your build. Okay, that means you can start that job. So this is just an basic example about what is the Jenkins. Okay, so next thing we will see, why do we need Jenkins and why we use it in our software development process. So main reason behind why all the companies use this Jenkins in the SDLC is because it speed ups the entire SDLC process. Okay, so in SDLC we have different phases from where you will get the requirement until that product is completely developed. So Jenkins will speed up that entire SDLC processes. Okay, and by doing this, it will increase the productivity of your company, right? And how the Jenkins speed up this SDLC? By automating the building, testing, packaging, or deployment process smoothly and reliably, right? So these are the different phases in the SDLC. We can get the requirement, we can then accordingly we can start developing that software, and we need to perform the testing also. By using in an agile model, we start developing and testing at the same time, right? So you can automate this all this process of building, testing, packaging of your build, or deploying that build to a different servers for testing. You can entirely automate this process by using the Jenkins, right? So indirectly it is going to increase the speed of your software development process. And a few other reasons behind using the Jenkins is, it is open source. That means you can use it free of cost. it has a built-in GUI, graphic user interface, that anyone can use it easily. Okay, and it has a very great community support online, right? If you face any problem, you just need to Google it and you will get the answers as well. Okay, most of the time you will get the answer. Okay, and another reason is it is Java based. Okay, it is built in the Java, so it is portable to all major platforms. Okay, so that's the reason we use the Jenkins. It increase your productivity by automating entire SDLC process. So let me explain a very simple scenario by which you can understand the importance of the Jenkins. Okay, so in software development companies, we will have some Jenkins server. Okay, so on the Jenkins server, we will have different folders created. Okay, so as I said, this Jenkins is useful for everyone in the SDLC. Okay, so that can be your developers, that can be your QA members, or you can create different folders for CI/CD also. So let's say on this Jenkins server, I will have multiple folders. Okay, so let's say this is the first folder that will be used by the developers. Then I will have some other folders. Let's say this folder will be used by the QA members, and another folder that can be used for running our regression automation. So all these folders will contains multiple Jenkins jobs. Okay, for each and every developer, let's say I have created this Jenkins jobs. Okay, for example, in your company you are using the Docker containerization technology for developing and testing purpose. Okay, so each developer will have its own Docker, so that they can whatever they have developed as a part of feature development or as a bug fixes, they can deploy it directly on that Docker container, and they can run the sanity. Okay, they can test it there itself. Okay, so for that purpose, if you want to run some sanity or unit level test cases, you will create these Jenkins jobs. Okay, so they will contains, this folder will contain one or more Jenkins jobs for each developer. Okay, similarly for QA members will also have their own jobs. Okay, if they want to run any automation on their Docker stack, then they will have to use this Jenkins jobs. Okay, so we will provide different Jenkins jobs configured for each and every QA members also. Okay, and same for running our, let's say, nightly automation. Okay, that means in the night no one is using that let's say QA server or UAT server. So what I am going to do is whatever changes or features developed in the daytime, all that will be committed into your feature branch, or let's say development branch, or you will have your release branch also. So that release branch will be deployed to your testing server, and in the night no one is going to use that server. So what we will do, we will run our regression automation. Okay, so whatever coverage suite you have or sanity suite you have, all those automations you can run in the night time using the Jenkins scheduler. Okay, so for all these Jenkins jobs, we can configure these jobs so that we can configure like on what browser I want to run my automation, from what branch I want to run that automation. Like there can be automation your master branch, or there can be your UAT branch or QA branch, right? So we can set up that branch. Then you can set up on what machine you want to run that automation, right? So there will be a remote machine on which you will run that automation, right? There that we called as a nodes. Okay, so Jenkins normally uses the master slave configuration. Okay, so these slaves are nothing but your nodes connected to the master. Okay, that means the remote machines. So we can configure what machine I want to run my automation. Then you can configure at what time your automation should start. Okay, so using the Jenkins scheduler, I can set up the time, date and time. So in night, let's say at 10 p.m. my automation should start. Okay, so that you can do for your Jenkins jobs. Again, one more thing you can configure is post build action, or you can create the dependency between the multiple Jenkins jobs. Okay, for example, when this Jenkins jobs will run and complete, this Jenkins job should start automatically. Okay, so you can create the dependency between these two Jenkins jobs. Okay, so Jenkins is going to help you to get your task done. Okay, and that's why I use this Jenkins. So this nightly automation is going to help you a lot when you run your automation or regression, full regression automation in the night, and in the morning when you are in the company, you will get the result. So just looking at that automation result, you will understand whatever changes that are committed in the previous day, and if your build is stable or not, according to your how many test cases executed, how many pass, and how many fails. So as a part of continuous integration, I can set up, or I can integrate this Jenkins with the more than 1700 plugins. So for example, I can integrate Jenkins and my GitHub or GitLab. So let's say you have different branches on the GitHub or GitLab, whatever you are using in your company. Okay, so let's say this is my GitHub. So on this GitHub or GitLab repository in your company, in your project, you will have multiple branches here. Okay, so there can be different branches. You will have your development branch, you will have different developers individual feature branch, you will have your release branch. Okay, so it can contain multiple branch. So we can set up Jenkins to keep watch on the code changes in the GitHub or GitHub repository and perform the code analysis, build the project immediately by using your Maven or your Gradle tool, and provide feedback to the developer team about your build is stable or not stable, or if anything fails. Okay, so developer will come to understand what your changes he has pushed in his last commit into some particular branch, if they are correct or not. Okay, so if there are some coding errors, if there are some issues, this developer will come to know immediately if that build fails. Okay, so that he will get the feedback from the Jenkins that build is unstable, and he will quickly look into that code. Okay, fix that code and again push to the GitHub repository in that particular branch. So by doing this, we are creating a stable build before it goes to the QA team for testing purpose. Okay, so QA team should start testing only when your build is ready and it is in good condition for the testing. Okay, if there are some issues in your build, that some important features are not working, your login is not working, then the QA member will report those issues. Okay, so this process will waste your time. Okay, so instead of that, by using the Jenkins and GitHub integration, we can sense that code changes, we can create the build immediately, and we will get the feedback immediately about that build is stable or not stable. Okay, so we can set up this pipeline using this Jenkins. Okay, so for all this process, you can utilize your Docker containerization technology using Docker, or you can use the Kubernetes as well to initiate the test and then take the actions on the to roll out the build or not to roll out. Okay, depending upon your result. So you can run a particular Jenkins job as and when there are some changes pushed into your GitHub repository, let's say in the release branch, and that branch is deployed into some particular server. So let's say this is my release branch, okay, which is going to deploy it on some particular server, let's say Privity server. So this release branch contains major bug fixes in the last build or new feature changes committed and added into this release branch. So when we deploy this release branch on this Privity server, we can set up a Jenkins jobs which will be triggered automatically through the Jenkins pipeline. Okay, so in this particular job, we can run our sanity test cases, sanity automation. Okay, so that will give you the result about if build is stable or not stable, about the important features about your applications are working or not working. So within the 15 to 20 minutes after the deployment, you will get the result about the build. Okay, if that build is stable or not stable, if your important features are working or not working. Okay, so if that is sanity passes, then only you can ask your manual team to start the testing on that Privity server. Okay, and then you can run your full regression as well. Okay, then you will start your Jenkins jobs which will run the full regression, full coverage. So Jenkins will help a lot in this scenario, as in when any release branch or any branch deployed on some testing server or your Privity or UAT server, you can run your sanity test cases, and within next 10 to 15 minutes you will get the result about the build is stable or not stable. So without running your sanity automation, if you provide this build for testing purpose, then it may contains more issues. Okay, so it will take more time for QA team, and they will require to raise all these issues unnecessary. Okay, so you can automate all this process by using these Jenkins jobs. You can just run that Jenkins jobs, run the sanity automation, get the result in 10 to 20 minutes, and accordingly you can say that this build is stable or ready for testing. Okay, so if it is unstable, you can provide developer the feedback, and whatever issues are there, they will fix it. Again, deploy that release branch on this Privity server, and again we will run our sanity suit. So once sanity passes, then we can ask the QA team to start the testing on that Privity server, and we can run our full regression or coverage automation as well. So another scenario can be, let's say one of the developer is working on some new feature, okay, a new feature request, and he has completed the code changes for that particular feature. So now he will push all the code changes to his feature branch on the GitHub or GitLab. Okay, and he will now deploy that branch on his Docker stack. okay, by using the Jenkins. So we can set up a Jenkins so that he will run the coverage automation, whatever coverage automation suite you have or regression suite you have. We can run all those automation test cases on that Docker stack. So whatever code changes he has done for that particular feature, it should not impact the existing features which are already running and working fine. So he will not require the manual QA team to perform that kind of regression. He can simply run that regression suite on that Docker stack on which this feature branch is deployed. Okay, and he will get the result on his own. So after running this regression or coverage suite on that particular Docker stack, let's say some of the feature got broken due to the code changes for these newly features in this feature branch. Okay, so developer will come to know that there are some issues in my code changes for new feature, and he will fix it and then again push it to this feature branch. So again this branch will be deployed to the Docker stack and he can run the coverage automation. So that code changes for that newly developed feature will not be added into your release branch unless and until that coverage automation or regression automation passes on his Docker stack. So by doing this, we already know in addition that whatever code changes he has done for that particular new feature are working fine, and that code changes for newly feature is not impacting the existing feature as well. Okay, so that means that code changes are working fine, and then we can merge this feature branch into the release branch. Okay, and then we can ask our QA team to start testing on that particular server where this release branch is deployed. So this is another basic example. We'll understand how Jenkins plays an important role, why it is useful, and how it speed up the entire SDLC process. Okay. So as I already said, Jenkins uses a master-slave architecture to managing all these Jenkins jobs or distributed builds. Okay, so in this architecture, master-slave architecture, your main Jenkins server will be a master. And this master will be connected to one or more Jenkins slaves. Okay, so by using the manage Jenkins options that I will show you in the coming session, we can add one or more these nodes. Okay, these are the Jenkins slaves. So let's say this is my Jenkins server. Okay, this is my master. So let's say this master is connected to the three slaves. Okay, three nodes. These are my three slave machines. Okay, so these slaves or nodes are nothing but your remote machines. Okay, so all these slaves are nothing but remote machines. So this Jenkins main server or master you can have on the premises. Okay, or you can have on the clouds as well. Okay, on AWS for example. Okay, so it's up to you. As per your requirement, you can have this Jenkins main server running on the premises machine, or you can have on the cloud AWS. Okay, so all this master and slave will communicate with each other by using the TCP/IP protocol. Okay, so they are going to communicate with each other. Okay, so when we create any Jenkins jobs, okay, first we need to set up this configuration, your Jenkins server and your slave machine. Okay, so for example, you want to run the automation on nightly automation on some particular server. Okay, so for that purpose, first you need to set up the nodes in the Jenkins. Okay, so on what remote machine you are going to run that nightly automation, right? You will require some remote machine, right? So for creating this all this configuration, you will require to use the manage Jenkins option in the Jenkins. Okay, so that I will show you in the coming session. So once that configuration is ready, once your nodes are configured and up and running, then you can set up or you can configure a Jenkins jobs which will run your nightly automation on some particular machine. So now let me explain in short what is the continuous integration process. Okay, continuous integration and continuous delivery, CI/CD. Okay, so in this we have two parts, one is CI, one is CD, continuous integration and continuous delivery or continuous deployment. So let's say I have my project source code available on some version control system. Okay, so this is where my project code is available. Okay, so for my project, let's say few developers are working on some features. Okay, and at the end of the day they are going to push their code changes to the version control system. So this is my version control system. That can be your GitHub or it can be your GitLab. Okay, so all these developers working on the same project going to push their code changes to this central repository. Okay, so this is where my entire code is available in the central repository. Okay, so after they push their code changes to the central GitHub repository, next stage in the continuous integration process is to build the project. Okay, so whatever code changes the developers have done, in the next stage we need to create the build of that project for that code. So for creating for this build, we can use the build automation tool, like we can use the Maven or you can use the Gradle. Okay, so this is the next stage where we will create the build of our project using Maven or Gradle, right? And once build is created, then we will deploy it to a testing server. So once deployment is done, my next task is to run some test cases, unit level test cases or Selenium test cases, whatever available in your project. So you can run all those test cases as a part of next stage. Okay, so we can say this is my testing stage. Okay, so here I am going to test my project, test my code. Okay, so for testing purpose you can use your Selenium test cases. Okay, testng, or if we have used JUnit. Okay, so after running all these test cases, whatever result of the automation, that will be given to the developer as a feedback, and accordingly they will make the changes, and again this process will continue. Okay, so in continuous integration, from here if you see, for creation of the build for your project, okay, so every time when there are some code changes pushed into your GitHub repository, okay, in your GitHub repository, we are going to create the build of that code, okay, using Maven or Gradle, and then we are going to test that code by running our Selenium test cases. So this process of creation of the build and testing that build again and again will takes place, okay, one after another, and that is what we called as a continuous integration. Okay, so CI means your continuous integration. Okay, so this involves build and test your code, build plus you can say test. So all this process of the continuous integration will be automated by using the Jenkins. Okay, you don't need to create this build and test your start your Selenium test cases manually. Okay, so everything can be automated by using the Jenkins jobs. So we will create the Jenkins pipeline such that it will sense that there are some code changes pushed in my GitHub repository. So immediately it will start a creation of the build by using that whatever branch they have pushed code into. Okay, so whatever branch they have the code is pushed, it will be used for creation of the build, and that build will be deployed on your testing server, and then automatically it will start the automation jobs as well. Okay, where we will run our Selenium test cases. So entire process is completely automated by using the Jenkins. Okay, and after this continuous integration, next part will be your continuous delivery or continuous deployment, where we will deploy this code. Let's say whatever Selenium test cases you are run, all are passed, then we will deploy the same branch, okay, same code on the production server, and then there will be a maintenance phase as well. And this is the CI/CD process which is completely automated by using the Jenkins tool. Okay, so that is why this Jenkins tool is very important for everyone to learn in the SDLC process. So last point in this session, we will see about the advantages of the Jenkins. Okay, so first an important advantage is it increase the productivity by automating the entire SDLC process. Okay, so we have already seen these few examples how it speed up the entire SDLC process. Then another advantage is it is open source and you can use it free of cost. Okay, then it is easy to set up and easy to use. Another advantage about the Jenkins is it is highly reliable with built-in GUI, okay, which makes it very easy to use. Then it has great community support. Okay, then it can be integrated with over 1700 plus plugins. It is built in Java, so it is portable to all major platforms. Okay, and another big advantage about the Jenkins is we can schedule the nightly builds. Okay, so we can schedule nightly builds. You can run the nightly automation as per your date and time, and accordingly that job will be triggered automatically. Okay, so this is the another advantage. We can schedule nightly builds and we can create the dependency between the Jenkins jobs. Okay, so by using Jenkins we can create multiple jobs. Okay, so as I already shown you, we can create the multiple jobs. So using the Jenkins I can set up the dependency between these two jobs. These jobs will be triggered only when these jobs finish its execution. Okay, so once it is done, this job will be triggered automatically. Then once the execution for this job is done, then I will start another job. Okay, so you can provide the waiting time as well. Okay, so you can set up this Jenkins job such that when the job finish execution, we can start the next job immediately, or if you want you can wait for half hour or 1 hour after the execution as well. Okay, so all these things you can do using the Jenkins jobs configuration. Okay, so that all these things we are going to see practically in the coming sessions. Okay, so I hope if you are clear about this, what is Jenkins and why we use it, then how to set up the Jenkins and how we are going to use it will be very easy. So thanks guys for watching this session. I will see you in the next video soon.